want to talk about AI.
I don't know which industrial revolution we're up for next, but I do feel like we're on the cusp of it.
Just for the audience who don't know who Tenable are, could you just kind of tell us a little about that business?
We are a vulnerability management company. That's our bread and butter over the 20 odd years or so in existence.
Anything that you can share like that you've learned over the years of building high performance teams?
Lead by example, keep close to your team, hire the best people. You'll end up with diversity. There are 8 billion people in the world.
I know that you yourself have got involved with CoderDojo.
So CoderDojo is an organization. It was actually founded by an Irish guy. Started from there. He was just interested in how we can get kids to code. Like the first computer, right? Tom and girls, the first computer programmers were ladies.
Tom, thanks a million for saying yes to the podcast. So it's great to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me on, Neil. Yeah, it's interesting.
Hopefully. Take me back a little bit then. The first time that maybe a career in technology or software industry, when did that actually appear on your radar? Like when did that actually happen?
Kind of fell into it by accident, to be honest. Was leaving school at 18. Guess there wasn't a whole lot of money at home, or just wanted a bit more independence for myself. So wasn't going to take the traditional college route. So went looking to see what was out there. There were a few schemes, like different, like Citibank and Bank of Ireland, sat all the exams to get in there. But when I landed in Irish Life, they had an apprenticeship program. I didn't care what I was doing. I just kind of was blasting out applications
Spraying
everywhere.
and praying.
Yeah, pretty much. So, but yeah, I feel like I landed on my feet. Irish Life had this kind of apprenticeship program. They were taking in people from like Leaving Cert students and graduates as well, bringing them in, doing like basically, yeah, as I said, an apprenticeship, hands-on type training.
An IT apprenticeship, like it was pure IT.
Yeah, straight into the development team on the
Nice.
on the pension side of things there in Irish Life. So
Is that mainframe stuff, was it? No, what was that?
yeah,
That was
well, luckily I didn't let me near the mainframe, but some of the guys are still doing that language called PL1, Programming
That's
Language
right,
1.
yeah.
So I think it's gone now. I was chatting to a few of the guys last year, but pretty much wasn't quite COBOL PL1. No, I was client server at the time. That's kind of the way I went, and it was a bit more, thankfully it was a bit more databasey and visual basic at the time. So yeah, did a year. They brought you in for a year, like hands-on stuff, training for a couple of months, and then into it, and then had the option to do a degree as well. So that was something I wanted to do. So that was a nighttime degree. So I reckon to come out at the end of 5 years, I did 5 years experience plus my degree. And did really well. Liked it, I have to say. But yeah, it's kind of something more I fell into really than something that was planned. So kind of was trundling along for a bit on that. Wasn't really into my 30s that I kind of went, okay, yeah, need to get serious about this, because it was doing well. I was happy with it, but
but data though seems to be a very common thread throughout your career. So that was obviously the grounding, right?
Yeah,
but then
you don't talk about insurance so much. You don't hear much of it from a tech point of view. There's a few companies out there, but like I would always say, like the actuaries we were dealing with, like they were the first data scientists to me, data scientists in suits, I call them. Like they were like, pushing the edge there. They like serious maths brains, and worked very closely with them on the pension side of things. Talking about annuity rates and calculations and all this sort of stuff, logbooks and things like this. You'll be going through to put calculations into place. So, very much data heavy on that side.
you obviously had a natural kind of, well, I don't know what it was, you obviously had the smarts though to be able to have that kind of logical thinking, that mathematics type of brain, right?
Yeah,
that clearly was there.
Yeah. I just found that computers were easier than the people, I suppose. So it was kind of, the people are hard. We can write any code we want. It's the people stuff that's right. A bit more difficult. I enjoyed it, and it worked pretty well. It was there for 8 years, and as I said, got a good grounding in that. It would have been very much data focused, always gravitated. Irish Life didn't force us into data or anything like that. Like we could have gone front end, we could have gone data, we could have gone ops side of things. But for me, I just kind of gravitated towards the database side of things and working with the data. And maybe it is that math side of things, or that kind of just kind of suited my brain well on that side. So enjoyed that. And then, kind of from there into the gambling industry, which again, very much on the data side of things there.
That was poker, was it? That was poker,
Online poker. I started off as poker, and they branched off into more different sports. But it was poker for the most part. That was an interesting journey. So it was like going from probably a pretty steady industry in Irish Life, to like what was just nuts. Like, to be honest, it was just, it was customer facing. Our databases were exposed to the customers. So like, and we're talking millions of customers all around the world. Data had to be right. We had to be able to gone from like 6-month waterfall projects to getting stuff out within 6 hours, like type of thing. So,
wow.
they were really cutting edge. It was a great IT department there. Learned a lot. Like, they were doing DevOps really before it was a thing. I would feel like we had a huge amount of automation around the CI/CD side of things, and we had to have it because we had a small team and we had to execute quickly, and we weren't.
The luxury of bigger teams.
There wasn't, lots of manuals. If there was anything manual, we had to automate it, and anything repetitive had to be automated. You just had to focus on the business value type of thing. So it was all on premise. There was no cloud at the time either. Like, we were very cautious of the cloud from a poker point of view, probably some gray areas maybe, type of thing. So we weren't. There's still a lot of companies, and there still are, wary of moving to the cloud and wary of not having control of their data. But it was huge. So we were getting like terabyte sized databases on premise, moving data around. It was huge learnings there.
What was the bulk though of the data? Was that like just the amount of players playing, or was it the amount of transactions, or was it the tournaments? Like, what was
every card dealt? We had a transaction for everything that happened in the game. We were tracking. All money in, money out of every bet was like, that's even a higher grain than that. But every bet we had to track. So, because customer service was running off our databases. So customers would be, some of them were professionals, and they were very precise about what
they knew.
Money,
they had expectations
because they would get commission then based on the number of bets they were making, type of thing. So they'd be drilling down into that, and it was a whole affiliate program. So a lot of money, and a lot of people with a lot of money invested on running off our data. So we had to be right, and there was no tolerance in the company for mistakes. So like, it was a high pressure system in a way. So we enjoyed it though. I was there for 8 years again in total. We enjoyed it, learned a lot.
Did you get into management?
Yeah, we moved up. So started as a business analyst, and then Scrum Master stuff, and then ended up managing pretty much the whole data department there, not just developers, but DBAs as well. And found that worked really well. If you had control over devs and ops, if you were setting the backlog for both, you could keep them aligned and keep them moving forward in the right way. So learned, as I said, went a lot there on that side and dealing with people and things.
But was it that draw? Just like, did you just want it to? I don't know. I'm always kind of curious about that kind of shift, from like a technologist, data, into the the detail, being really super smart, highly clearly a very complex environment, fast pace. But what was it? Was it like just an evolution, or were you kind of thinking, I really want to have a greater sphere of impact, or what was the actual kind of thing for you that attracted you about management?
Had 3 teams, and one of the managers resigned, so it was an open role there, and was asked was I interested. I said yes. I suppose it was.
So your manager obviously, seen the traits in you and encouraged you to go for it.
Wanted me to put myself forward for it. So went for it. Was the driver for it. Evolution, career, trying to move up a bit, move ahead. But also impact. I feel like you can have more impact if you're in charge of a team, or in charge of managing a team. Like, you can kind of bring people the way you wanted them. You have more influence. You can, if you want to feel, if you know what's right, or you feel you know what's right, and you feel you know what's good for the company and the customers, like, to have that impact in there if you're managing a team and you have resources that you can move around, that gives you that bit more, to kind of move forward and do the right thing, I feel like. So
was it difficult stepping into that?
Yeah, it was a big jump up, because like I said, I was Scrum Master, so I felt like, look, I'm doing it anyhow. Like, I'm managing projects here. I'm kind of doing stuff moving forward. But the big jump, as I said, it's the people. You gone from project work solely to, hang on, I have to manage everyone and, keep everybody happy in a way, and try and, that's not, my philosophy is to think of it as a team. So not like on the individual basis. It's what's good for the team, what's good for the company overall, and the impact you're trying to have. So you kind of have to look at it. Definitely, there's room, like, it's the individuals that make up the team, but there are some individuals that don't suit like the team or the company, and that's a two-way thing. It's not necessarily that there's something they just like company doesn't fit for them or they don't fit for the company. It's not necessarily a personal thing that you do have to make those decisions at times, and they're not easy, and you have to work with people through all that. But that was difficult, but again, I've said learning a lot here, but I'm always happy when I'm learning and I'm moving forward, and there's always new challenges, and for me, so that was a good thing, like in there. And once you tackle a few issues, we had a good team going there. It was, I always say, like I keep in contact with the team that we have there, and like we always say, we were humming, like it was going well. We had a good backlog. We were delivering. We were getting some really good things done and tackled some big problems. Because when I was coming in from the ground up, I was kind of working with the team at the time and becoming their manager. Then you just felt like, look, guys, what do we want to get done here? What do we want to move forward? And you got to keep the business happy, but like, we knew what was setting us up for the future, I suppose. Get the big things done, the infrastructural stuff done. And
you obviously had that caliber. You obviously had there was a good capability, obviously, clearly in that team, and you grew up with it, so you had the credibility with them, so it kind of naturally.
I learned a lot from them, and so we worked together. We kind of built our own tech backlog as well as the business backlog, and they kind of worked together side by side, and kind of moved us up. But poker industry was going through a bit of difficulty at the time, so the company got taken over, and like the team was let go. Like we were merged in, the data function was merged into the overall data function of the new organization. So we got let go. But it was a bit disappointing. We were doing pretty well. We were happy with that. But so
which is life, huh?
Sometimes, that's the industry we're in, and you have to kind of go with that. It is fast moving, and you will progress, but there are these things that you gotta dust yourself off and go again. So I then got into telematics industry. So which again, big data heavy side of things, tracking on vehicles. So like basically pings coming off from vehicles, longitude, latitude, direction, speed type of thing. So
who was that?
They were Fleetmatics, and then they got bought by Verizon.
Massive acquisition,
$2.1 billion at the time.
Great success story.
Yeah, it was brilliant for Ireland, like to see.
Thanks to the data.
Thanks to the data. And
that's a big part of it, though, right? Let's be honest. Yeah,
that's what drives it. And Peter Mitchell, he was the founder of the company. He's still there with Verizon. Like his vision there, he started that in a. Was it an off license in Tala somewhere?
Is that right?
Yeah. Like he stuck with it and kept it going and built it up to what it was. Like a very inspirational guy. Like I learned a lot from him. So that
was a great
brilliant story, like,
isn't it? Yeah.
I've been there 6 months, and then they got taken over. So I was like, oh crap, here we go again. But it was
the writing was on the wall.
Completely different feel. Like it was like Verizon really believed in Fleetmatics, and I would say to Peter's leadership, and so they had a couple of other telematics companies, and they merged them all into one, but pretty much in under Fleetmatics and the vision that the guys had there to push it forward. So to make one telematics organization, and it's great for Ireland as well. Like most of it's based here from a development point of view and pushing on there. So really
great,
good.
Great story.
Yeah. So.
When you're building kind of high performing teams, right? Like your approach or your ethos, or like anything that you can share, like that you've learned over the years of building high performing teams, things that worked, things that haven't worked. Because it's, you've been in organizations where there is that expectation that you're building a high performing team, and there's demands of the business, there's ambition, all the things that you've alluded to there. Like anything that you can share for our audience?
I suppose sticking with Fleetmatics for a second, like again, that was all on premise. I was brought in, they'd bought this data warehousing appliance from Microsoft I was brought in to try and make it work. It was difficult. So it was kind of about 2 years in the journey, and kind of went, this thing is not going to work. Should we look at moving to the cloud? And I kind of spearheaded that from the data point of view for Verizon Connect, trying to get our data infrastructure up into the cloud and all that. So it was leading by example. I kind of took a lead there on that, kind of doing the team management stuff, but then like on the architecture side of things and pushing forward with that. And Verizon Connect had a contract with AWS, so that seemed like the obvious path, but we looked at other providers, but yeah, it was definitely easier to go with AWS, but that was kind of something we drove, and like bringing the team along with me on that journey, and who was, for me, like if I'm moving and I'm learning and I'm challenged, I'm happy, and I expect that from my team as well. Like and they're the people I like to work with and move forward. So I basically ended up sitting a bunch of AWS certifications myself just to kind of get back into. This is where I really, and I referenced it earlier, but this is where I really committed to, like, okay, this is it, and like went deep into the, like, taken from where I was to get into to upskill myself on the cloud and the AWS in particular at the time, and moving up there. So that was a brilliant journey for me. I really enjoyed it. Started blogging, started doing interviews,
meetups and talks.
See that, just like doing certifications and putting myself out there. Nervous enough at the start. Like, who am I to be, like, I suppose that's imposter syndrome that people talk about. Who am I to be out there telling people stuff? But I've never had one negative feeling from it. And I encourage anyone in my team, or in, like, we were only talking about a few people in Tenable last week, that, like, it's really good for you, and to put your thoughts down and share it with people. And you never know who's going through the same issue. That might just ping with them. Okay, this makes sense. And they'll reach out for a chat, and love doing that. That's kind of one of the reasons we're here, Neil. Like, you reached out. Let's just have a talk. So that's it. I think lead by example. Keep close to your team. Like, I always say I wouldn't have a job without my team. So, like, that's my philosophy as a manager. I'm just another member of the team, possibly obviously have different responsibilities, but, like, I don't exist. My role doesn't exist without my team. So, and vice versa. Like, we kind of have to work together. So
it's less hierarchy is more, less hierarchy is more, collective.
So to move forward in a partnership, I suppose, and to do that.
Why do you still code? You'd said this to me before, and I was always curious.
I used to say it's to keep me sane, but I enjoy it. Like, I do. It's part of the challenge. Sometimes it's like yesterday, something small came up, and, like, the rest of the team are busy on lots of different big things, and they needed to keep the head down. I'll just do this, get it out of the way. It's like an hour. I'll just get it done, and it's fine. For me, it helps though to keep empathy with the team. So we talk a lot about automation and process and all that. Like, I set the backlog for my team, and on that backlog, it's a mix of business features, technical features, big infrastructural stuff that we're trying to do, but small tweaks maybe from developer experience, that sort of stuff, trying to, like, take away any kind of pain for the developers to make their job easy. But I just want my guys and people to write code and get it done. They shouldn't have to care too much about, like, the other stuff that happens. We should just be writing what I call our business logic and getting that packaged up in whatever, that automate as much of that to get it out to production as quickly as you can. So keep people focused on the business logic. So it gives me a bit of empathy, it gives me a bit of hands-on experience as to what the team is going through, and it helps me to prioritize if we need to, okay, this change could shave a minute and a half off our CI/CD times. Okay, is that worth doing? And because, like, that's a good percentage, and that's going to help productivity and keep everybody happy. So, yeah.
Why do you not attend stand-ups?
Not
that you don't at all, but what's the?
I don't anymore. I was attending them, but I felt like there's, I don't know what it is. Maybe, like, I suppose we have a more mature team, maybe, and people coming in. So they're used to, maybe, having to give a status report every day. Like, that's the way it was turning into. And I'd just be there in the stand-ups, and this ticket, and this is the status, and this is the thing. And it's like, this is not helping. Like, this is I said it a few times, and we'd have retrospectives, and I said, these stand-ups just feel like a status report for me. I don't know if they're useful. So eventually I just stepped away. And feedback from the team is a lot more. It's happier. Like, they have good chats. They get together at 10 o'clock every morning. It's the one or two times I've eavesdropped in, if you will, like, they're having, like, a good social banter for 10 or 15 minutes, and then they don't go through ticket by ticket. They talk like, okay, this is what I'm working on today, and they don't pull up the board at all. And like, if there's any particular blockers, oh yeah, no, I'll help you with that. I was looking at that last week. Or, can you help me? I have a pretty big PR coming up. I need someone to help with review. Yeah, just let me know when it's done, and I'll get it done. And just completely different vibes. Like, rather than. Yeah. So I just had to step away to enable that. And I don't know what it says about me, maybe, but it just was the right thing to do. And, I'd encourage any manager to try it. You'd see threads about it on LinkedIn or Twitter, like, and things like that. You do not need to be there. Like, trust your team, empower your team. They'll get it done. If you don't trust your team, there's something else wrong. Like, there's, if you feel like you can't, whether it's with you or with them, there's something else wrong. We've a very good team there and great group of people. And I just reliable. Like, we check in once a week. So we do 2-week sprints. So in the middle of the sprint, we check in, how is the sprint going? Are we on target or not? Maybe we need to pull some things on or pull things in or pull things out or, maybe help out. Maybe that might be where I would jump in, maybe just kind of give a bit of help on certain things. And then, every 2 weeks then we have just the planning. So just close off the old sprint. What do we do next sprint type of thing? So that's where I check in now once a week and seems to go pretty well. So, yeah.
Just the role of, you touched on something there, but the role of kind of diversity and inclusion and, the reality of building that diverse team, particularly when you're in a big organization, a global organization. But I want to explore your, I suppose your approach to building a diverse team. And,
I've never set out with probably sounds wrong, but the aim to build a diverse team, but I've always had diverse teams and always managed to build diverse teams. Hire the best people. You'll end up with diversity. There are 8 billion people in the world, like across all manners and walks of life, like the two genders, everywhere. So like if you go out there, and Ireland being such an open country, like people want to come here, they want to be here. Like there's some bad crap going on, but it's on a very small scale. In general, most people are very welcoming and a bit like I was saying earlier, just want to get the job done and just want to work and just want to learn, and we're all happy to and willing to learn off each other. So as I said, just go and hire the best people and you will end up with a diverse team, like in the manner we are. Look, if you're in a country where immigration isn't encouraged, maybe you'll end up in a different story. But here in Ireland, we have no excuse to building diverse teams. Like just get the CVs in and maybe there's an unconscious bias from certain people, I don't know, but it thankfully hasn't surfaced in the teams we've built. We've good gender balance. We have, I don't know if we have anyone who's of the same nationality.
Wow, yeah.
It's great. Pretty diverse. So, and I don't care what culture or where you're coming from. Like if we're all there and we're all pulling together to get the job done, that's all that really counts. And that's what really helps to bond people together too. Like if you're in the trenches and you're working together, like there's no, myself, the company I'm in now would stand for no BS on that. Like if there was anything, people would be marched out the door. Like there's very little tolerance for anything like that. So
brilliant. Sign of the culture. Yeah.
Yeah, it is like, and thankfully we've never had anything like that, but like I know if it came to it, that would be the answer. And and we're going really well, and it's people I said we have a mature team, but we bring in interns every summer, and they fit in really well. Like they kind of get a lot of encouragement and advice, and it brings a good buzz to the company at the time or the office over the summer. Like to have new people in and that. So, yeah.
The just for the audience who don't know who Tenable are, could you just kind of tell us a little about that business, and because that's obviously where you're working at the moment, and who are they? What do they actually do? Who are your customers?
Lots of Fortune 100 customers or Fortune 500 customers. We are a vulnerability management company. That's our bread and butter over the 20 odd years or so we've been in existence. Founded by a Frenchman, René de Raison. He wrote a piece of software called Nessus when he was 17. And basically kind of snowballed from there for him. Like he retired there 2 years ago. And I remember him saying that he'd only taken 17 days off or 11 days off or something like this in his whole career type of thing. So best luck to him, and like a really, really inspirational guy, and did a lot there. But they're our core business is vulnerability management. So scanning laptops, servers, PCs, that sort of stuff, bringing that data in, a huge amount of data that our customers send to us, processing that data up for them. So they send it up to the Tenable cloud. We process that data for them and to give them insights into, look, you're running this older piece of software or this library is this vulnerability. You think of Log4j, like basically we were able to tell customers, you have Log4j on this machine and you need to go and patch it type of thing. So, and then when it's patched, they come back and see if it's been addressed, if that vulnerability has been addressed. But yeah, that was our bread and butter for so long, but things are moving on. Obviously, cloud's a huge business. There are competitors, new competitors coming to that space that like are eating up market share pretty quickly. So that's the challenge on us to kind of take all that on. Like customers know us, they trust us for what we do. So we need to go and what we're doing now at the minute. We bought a cloud startup last year, Armedic, and integrating them into our platform. So, and that's very much where my team is at on the platform side of things. So there's still there's separate point products for each of these. Like I said, vulnerability management. We also have an AD scanner, so Active Directory scanner, or Entra as it's called now. We have the cloud scanner. OT is another one. So operational technology, which is like if you've got factories or water plants, oil refineries, those type of things. Lots of software in there, lots of machines in there that need to be protected.
Risk.
So
yeah.
So especially there's a lot of that going. Like there's been
so keeping all them businesses safe. That's sure.
Yeah. So
and the landscape is
they're all separate point products, but I guess I was brought in to kind of bring all that together into a single platform. So we get the data, we bring the data in from all those platforms into one single view for our customers, so they get to see, and at a higher level, like the CISO, VP of security type of thing, being able to see how everything is working across the board. You can be able to get a full picture of their exposure. So we've kind of term, or we've new industry term called exposure management. I've seen Gartner latch onto that now, and last year they have a new report out on exposure management. So we're trying to be the number one and in that area, trying to give customers a complete holistic view of all of their risk, all of their exposure across the board. So really, really interesting. Like we talked about like the poker industry earlier, but and I enjoyed that job. I learned a lot. I was challenged, but I'm just finding here in Tenable that it's even on another scale again. Like it's really good, really enjoying it. I think it possibly because of the cloud, it's going to turbocharge what we can do from a data platform point of view. Like we've 8 people in the team, and there are tens of PRs going out every day, every week, just getting stuff out there, delivering value to customers. Because we've taken all those lessons I've learned around automation and all the stuff that we don't have to do in the cloud. We just hand over all the infrastructure stuff to the cloud providers, and we can just focus on doing our business logic and getting that packaged up and getting out and getting delivered to our customers. So
right. It's good. Look at the size of the team and what you're able to get from an output perspective because of all of that. It's truly valuable.
It's definitely. Like we still have, you still see other companies that are having to manage their own infrastructure, even Kubernetes clusters. It takes a lot of time, and there's a lot of cognitive load, as the team topology guys would say. Like we kind of lessen that, lower that for our teams, so they can just focus on the business logic, as I said, just getting that delivered and out. So
you mentioned about kind of interns, and I just want to kind of go a little bit earlier, right? Like in relation to even just a responsibility maybe we all have in promoting careers in the software industry. And, I know that you yourself, you've got involved with CoderDojo and different things. Obviously, speaking at events. Well, like for those, again, that, hopefully most would know about CoderDojo at this stage, but like what is it? What's the real aim of something like that? Why do you get involved? What is it about it?
So CoderDojo is an organization. It was actually founded by an Irish guy he was from Cork, I think. I don't have the full background, but started from there. He was just interested in how we can get kids to code. Just thought it as a cool thing to do. There are code clubs. Before COVID, they used to be in person. We ran them during COVID online. Got a lot more down. I live in Laois. We ran one between Laois and Offaly, myself and Darren, and it was really good. It just helped to get my kids onto learning how to code, and they use a tool called Scratch. It's like a GUI based kind of. You could drag and drop in code blocks, loops and if statements. I would say if you can understand that, what an if is, what an if then else, and what a loop statement is, you're gonna. you're pretty much there in any language or a lot of the way, you know.
What age groups who can start? Or
geez, I don't know if we have a lower age limit.
they're up for
Like
it, they can
7 or
come.
8,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
that
wow,
was
yeah.
when Pierce started, and the girls come on. I have 2 young, I have older
You
boy,
3,
and,
didn't you? Yeah,
boy and 2
yeah.
girls, and they've all in, and it's part of that. I think we're talking about this before, but like I see, I'd have nieces and nephews, and my wife would the same, that are coming out of school, and friends of, or kids of friends that are coming out of Leaving Cert, and I'm like, why are you not doing computer science? Like, none of them that I know personally have gone for computer science, and I'm like it's a phenomenal career. Like, it really is. I wouldn't have what I have only for it, and like the rewards are there.
People just think it's hard. Like, what do you think is the actual?
That's it. Like,
because it's well publicized now that there's loads of jobs. There's great companies here. There's there's
huge opportunities. Like, and you see the likes of what Stripe are doing with, like, they have a degree course down UL, bringing people in, like an apprenticeship, like what I did like 20 odd years ago, type of thing. If that was there when I was coming out of school, that's definitely what I would have went for. No, that's I've tackled a few of the kids, not like just trying to go, why wouldn't you consider computer science? And these guys are getting like my niece got 5 something in her leaving, 500 something points in her leaving, like
intellect's clearly
for this stuff,
you know.
So it's just when you get down to the bones of it, they've never been exposed to computers. It's not that they think. I was thinking, like, do you think we're geeks or nerds? Is it something like that? And like when you kind of get to the bottom, they think it's hard. They're afraid, I think, to they're not familiar with it. So that's where I think the likes of CoderDojo, get them young, get them in there. Oh yeah, I know how to program a computer. I can tap in a bit there. And, like, we go from scratch to Python, like, and they don't.
They get out of their way.
Bored with it, like, to be honest, because they can do it, and they're just like that all, and they move on. So I'd like to think when they get to 18, it wouldn't be something they can be afraid of. Like, in line with the CoderDojo, there's this event called Coolest Projects. It's run every year, so kids can submit a project, and basically it's a in-person thing. First, remember the one we were going in the RDS, it was huge. It's not as big anymore, but this was in the main hall in the RDS. There were hundreds of kids from everywhere, and and even it was in what's the one up in Drumcondra there, All Hallows this year, on the DCU campus there in All Hallows this year. Great event. Kids all went up to it, loved it. And like, if you're a child who's not maybe as into sport, or not, like, you kind of have different interests and stuff like that, you go there, you find your tribe, you see other kids of the same that are like you, and it's nothing to be afraid of, or they're all just there, like, jamming, having the crack, and like, it's really, really cool energy. I get as much out of it as kids do, to be honest, anything like that. So that's where I think part of the diversity thing too, we need to be like helping kids at that age, all genders, everywhere, giving them the opportunity and helping them to kind of see this thing is not hard, and like hopefully.
Is there a good split? If you look at CoderDojo, would it be a good?
Yeah, boys and girls is great.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
No, that's a good sign, isn't it? Like, we talk about
it is,
the equivalent grassroots, like that kind of level.
No, 100%.
STEM in general, right? Promoting STEM careers and STEM subjects.
I think it's the other way, and I
great.
Definitely, like, the first computer, I tell my girls, the first computer programmers were girls, or were ladies, like Ada Lovelace and people who programmed the computers in World War II over in Britain, wherever that was, for code cracking and stuff like that. That was like, like, there's nothing to be afraid of, and so.
No, but I think it's a good point. I think we all have a responsibility to maybe do more at that kind of early years, and just contribute or volunteer or just get involved,
I think at the school level too, there isn't much happening there. Like, we'd love to see more there on that side of things. Just computer science,
the evolution of the curriculum in general at secondary.
Primary. Well, even primary, get them young. But even we're looking at schools now for my boy. He's secondary school next year, and very few schools are doing computer science. Like, it is a subject for Leaving Cert, but there's very few schools supporting it. But I guess it's hard to get teachers. Like, nobody's really going to go back and teach computer science when you can get a good wage doing computer science, like, for real. So, it's interesting.
Yeah. For another day, we'll tackle that one another day. You're into the GAA, and you're telling me about coaching camogie and being involved in that. How has that helped your management skills in general? I'm always curious about where sport and then kind of management and leadership, because it's, they do intertwine, right? And I'm wondering about you. And
I don't know, managing a bunch of 7-year-olds, managing a bunch of developers, some crossover at times. Yeah, but I no,
You obviously enjoy it though, right? Yeah.
100%. Yeah, love it. Like, it's good old crack. Yeah, like, they're a good group. Like, guys, it's just the underrates. Camogie, don't take it too seriously. My win, or my KPI, I suppose, if you will, for success is they keep coming back.
Yeah.
So like, you don't want to turn them off. Like, if they're having a bit of fun at that age, that they enjoy it, and like, that they're coming back, and maybe they can hold a hurdle properly. That's what we're aiming for at that age. So just
especially now there's so many there's loads of choice, isn't there, for sport, and like parents everyone back to school now, and then it's back driving around to all of the. I know myself. It's flat out.
The thing has struck me yesterday. Like, so I live in Laois. Like, thank you, Tenable. Like, we've a bit more remote friendly. So like, it's 2 days in the office, and then the rest I can work from home down there. So that gives me the time to go on. Like, when I was on the road 5 days a week, there's no way I could have taken this opportunity to do coaching. Like, so like, it's a big win for areas like where I'm from, remote working. That we have that time. I'm not on the road 4 hours a day commuting. Like, I can take that time and go and help out in the community. Like, I'm coaching because my kids are there, but like, you're also helping out there in the community.
Contribution.
That's like, and I do help out with the rugby team as well. Just on the admin side, I wouldn't try and play rugby, but just helping out with. There's a lot of paperwork on that side now. But like, I wouldn't have the time to do that if I was commuting. So it is, and there's a lot of coaches the same that you would talk to from the area that we can do that. So, but I suppose on the point of sports and management, like, I used to always love listening to Johnny Giles he used to have an interview on News Talk, but like, I think he should write a book on management, because the stuff he'd be talking about, it's like, that happened to me in work, and like, it's kind of there's a lot of parallels between sport and like any sort of management, like it is. So.
And again, just being getting involved in community, and just everyone, there's a role for everyone. You know what I mean? I see it myself. But right, look, I want to talk about AI. Are we in extraordinary times, or is this just another step in the evolution of technology? Obviously we were chatting about gaming and mobile earlier, and obviously the internet. Like, is it very different? We'll talk about use cases and some of the real positive sides of it, but just someone, the world of data, which I think is the core building blocks of AI. But like, from your own perspective, is this, firstly, are we in a really unique chapter in the evolution of technology because of AI?
Yeah, I totally percent. I don't know which industrial revolution we're up for next, but I do feel like we're on the cusp of it. I don't think we've worked out fully. It takes time. Like, I remember my brother-in-law showed me a picture. He had one of those huge big mobile phones that you had to carry around like a briefcase and stuff. That was in the 80s, I think. So by the time I got from there to like mainstream, like to the iPhone, the first iPhone, like, it was 20 years of a lead time. I don't know if we're into that now, but like, imagine it'll be shorter, but we're still working out how to take that big brick of a phone and turn it into an iPhone. I feel anyhow, to be, and like, when the iPhone came along, think about it. Like, I remember buying cameras, digital cameras. No one has those anymore. Like, all this stuff we can do now with a phone that we used to need to have 3 or 4 devices for, type of thing. So, I completely think AI is the next wave, and it's going to be like huge for all of us. And I think in IT and for my kids coming along, I have no fear on this thing is going to take our jobs. I just see it as another multiplier, it's going to be like, come back to the internet. How many jobs have the internet created for everyone around the world? How have they democratized things for the wealth that it's created? Mobile phones, the mobile phone industry, where did all like the wealth that's created? I feel like AI is the next one for people. And I will, see like what Meta are doing with the open source AI. Like, it doesn't have to be just in the hands of like the big companies. It will be accessible to lots of people. I actually haven't followed on the Apple announcements yesterday. I know there was talks of them announcing Apple Intelligence, like their AI type of thing. So be interesting to see what they do with it in terms of
likes to follow suit.
Well, that's putting it in the hands of people. If it's going to be on their phones and what people can do with it, it'll be massive. But coming back to, for me as a data person, like, big focus for us in Tenable has been to build a data platform. So like basically a way for other teams in Tenable to be able to access Tenable's customers' Tenable data to be able to build applications on top of it. So we've kind of built a data layer that other applications can come in, other teams can come in and build applications on it. Our vision now is to kind of like basically make it a data and AI platform. So where it makes sense to have AI with the data. So like if you have to do a huge amount of inference on a big data set, you don't want to be taking that data out of the database row by row and calling out an external service and saving the output, things like that. You should be able to do that completely within the platform. Just, call a function, call an API to return the results for the data that you're looking for, those kind of things. Like I wouldn't think we'd do like, there's other like AI, like from a front end point of view, there are lots of other AI technologies and services that can be used in the front end. But just from a data platform point of view, if you need AI for data, you should come to our data and AI platform and integrate them in there. And from a data governance point of view, like we've been studying and working with that and complying with that for over a decade now. If you think of GDPR,
Sure,
CCPA, all those kind of things. So we understand that. We understand those rules. And like bringing a lot of that is a huge crossover between AI governance and data governance as well. So like kind of assuage those kind of fears. I do feel like the data team is the first, like, they have that knowledge. We have that knowledge. We have those tools to basically manage data governance, to implement data governance, and AI would sit very much alongside with that. Like a lot of the governance concerns with AI are data governance concerns, and we can address those if that's what teams are aware of. There are very legitimate concerns there, but nothing that's insurmountable or nothing that we can't solve, and that we have solved already as part of what we do with the data platform. So that's as an industry, not just Tenable, but I mean, as an industry, we understand that there are rules and regulations out there. Responsibilities. This is our customers' data. Like we need to take it seriously. It's not our data; it's our customers' data, and we need to be uber cautious and uber careful with that. And same with when we're going to use AI with it, we need to be sure of the provenance of that AI or where that data is going or how it can be used, because we need to. That's a big concern, but I said nothing insurmountable and nothing that should hold it back. I do feel like AI, what we can do for our customers. Talked about being an exposure management platform. If we can, with the data that we have, we're bringing huge insights to our customers in terms of their exposure. And if we crack how to use AI with that correctly, and because it needs to be right. Like at the moment, you can build an app that's right 80% of the time, but it's that 20% that's hard. And for our customers, it needs to be right. That we ever get to 100, I don't know, but like there's ways to do it, like multimodal calls and using different models, the appropriate models where you need to. There's no one model to rule them all, if you will. Like, you have to use the right model for the right case, or it may be a layering of models. You might use one model to generate a prompt that feeds that prompt into another model type of thing that gives you the answer that you need. So it's a simplistic case. So it's fascinating. I'm loving it, and I'm kind of feeling like for myself now, like I've done a lot of learning on those certifications on the next, and I'm now looking for the next one in AI and in machine learning and where we can go. But it's changing so fast; like it's hard to pin it down.
And at kind of a higher level, like from the problems we need to solve, as humankind, like what are the use cases that you're really excited about? Like I think you'd reference something like with doctors and that kind of co-pilot.
Like at a medical level, I just feel like
amazing.
It's the like the scope, the advantages that we could have there with AI. I know Werner Vogels gave a talk. It was at the reInvent last year. He was a doctor at one point. I didn't realize that.
I didn't realize that.
He was in his keynote summit, and he came to a hospital here in Tallaght. Basically, he wanted to build an app with Bedrock, their new service, and taking X-ray images and basically running them through the model to try and do diagnostics. And because they have a huge
it's still by the eye, isn't it? Very much so.
But we have a huge amount of training data there. We have like all these X-rays and test results that doctors have gone through manually. So we could train an AI with that very, very easily. We have the data to do it. So new ones coming in, and like people don't really understand the word, but it's co-pilot. It like when you hear the word co-pilot, like that the AI isn't the pilot. They're not the one making the decisions. They're the co-pilot. They're there to help you. Yeah. So like doctors shouldn't be afraid of it. Like it should just be a co-pilot for them to do more, like to turn around things quicker. Like, but I think we'll always still need the human in the loop. And it's the same for writing code, like with GitHub Copilot or any of these other new tools out there. They are just co-pilots. They're not going to replace the developer. I listened to a good podcast yesterday, actually, Analytics Engineering. The DBT guys were talking to a researcher from GitHub, and they were kind of like, you only code, developers only code 3-4 hours of the day. Like there's everything else going on as well. So if they can make that 3-4 hours more productive, that's it. But it's not going to help with the other stuff. Like you're still have a lot of other work to do. So you're not going to replace like 10 developers with one AI or anything like that. If senior management are thinking that, it's.
Would be curious to really like analyze, like say a doctor in a hospital, like how much time they're actually spending on each of those tasks, and like if you can shave off like exactly that. Like I wonder how much time, you know, if anyone done a full audit on that, visually looking at something and trying to make a diagnosis, you know.
It has to be massive, like so. But it's not that it
change the game.
Doctors shouldn't be afraid of from a job. It'll free them up to do higher level work,
higher
value work, for their patients and get to see more people. So, yeah, I firmly believe that's like there's huge advantages there. I don't know if the public sector doesn't do it, someone in private healthcare will, and it'll just be taken away from them. So, yeah,
something to be very excited about, yeah. Is there anything more like, say, just from an Irish perspective, you know, looking at the overall ecosystem for technology and jobs and technology? And again, we spoke about the earlier years. You've obviously been very vocal on different events and putting yourself out there, which is brilliant. And that helps, I think, you know, fly the Irish flag and different things. Is there anything else? Any other things like, you know, if people are listening or viewing this podcast, is there anything else that you would encourage people to do to, you know, even just as a country to try and, you know, improve, attract more businesses here, you know, inspire more entrepreneurs? Like, is there anything more that you'd have an opinion on that we should do differently or that we could do?
I think there needs to be more at the EU level or government level, state level. You see, like there was a report there from Mario Draghi saying the EU needs 750 billion investment to catch up with the likes of look at the EU versus China and US. You know, like where are our Googles, our Facebooks, our Apples, our there's several Chinese companies at the same level. Like, sorry, can't think of the names in a minute, but like huge. Like we don't have anything like that in the tech.
So investment wise, you just think we're just way behind.
It's regulation or it's something, I don't know. I'm not saying those companies are perfect. Like they're massive monopolies. Like at some point, but like we don't seem to be in. Like Europe's not in the AI race at all. Nowhere. Like the models are all coming out of the US or China. There's nothing coming out of Ireland. So, or EU. Why is that? Like, why are we not? When we've been like the IT industry is decades old here in Ireland. Like we've been learning from like the best, like Google and Facebook, Tenable. They're all here. They've all come to Ireland for a reason. But there hasn't been any like huge breakouts like that. You know, like come back to Fleetmatics. They were one of the largest
acquisitions in
There's been some since, but that stands out as one still. Like, and that was 2016. Yeah, 2016. So like 8 years ago. Like it was only 2 billion. Like it wasn't massive amounts. So like there's something, I don't know. I'm not a legal expert or I haven't studied the policy, but there's something missing. I would feel like and it's not the people, it's not the talent.
The intellectual firepower is on the continent. Yeah.
But like we have it here. We have the people. Like we have the education. We have the universities and everything. But just it doesn't seem to be breaking through into huge wins like that. Like Nokia, I suppose, was one big one in Finland, but they crashed and burned and didn't innovate. You know, even Amstrad, I think, was a British company at one point. Like they never got to the scale that. Yeah, so I don't have an answer for you, I suppose, in that point. I don't think, like, the people are here and the ambition is here. Like, there are seeing new companies coming in the data space. A company called Zverve there I was talking to recently. They're building a data platform. Looks pretty cool. Philly Hayes is the CTO there. Like, there are companies out there. Like, you pass Dogpatch Labs every time I'm coming in there. There's always a good buzz around. You know, so I do feel like the appetite for risk is there. The people want to build stuff, want to learn. Like new generation coming up behind us are like 100 times more confident than we ever were. Like they're willing to put themselves out there. Like it's great to see. But there's something, I don't know, it's not equating into results for some reason. And I think that's, just seeing the headline yesterday, what Mario Draghi was saying, like it's a presentation at the EU level that, we are falling behind. Like definitely AI, like I have no idea where, like, is there anything in Europe for AI? Like I don't know any Europe-based model.
Let's put it to our audience, those that are listening, those that are viewing this, if they have any ideas or if there's something we could do tangibly, like, again, everyone should have a voice and there is stuff that we can do to influence. So yeah, let's try and get a discussion going around that because there has to be something. But Tom, we are out of time, but I just want to say thanks a million. You're brilliant. You've got great things to share and I wish you nothing but continued success, whatever that looks like. And again, thanks again for being so generous with your time.
Oh, thanks for having me. I enjoyed that now. It's a good chat.
Man. All right.